She morphs from a responsible driver to literal hell on wheels.
Mackenzie Shirilla murdered my son, Dominic, as well as Davion.
I'm so deeply sorry. I hope one day you can see I would never let this happen or do it on purpose.
He controlled that car the whole way.
I just want to bang my head on the wall till I'm dead. I think we need some time apart. Okay, Mr. Gaslighter, I don't need you to tell me what's small or big. These were some of the messages investigators found between Mackenzie Shirilla and Dominic Russo before the crash that killed him. In this video, we're turning to something that we haven't yet tackled on our coverage of the Mackenzie Shirilla case: the text messages between Dominic Russo and his convicted murderer. You are going to hear a bunch of these communications, and it's important because understanding it will help us make sense of what actually happened, and Shirilla's arguments that she didn't murder Dominic on purpose. To put this into context, Mackenzie Shirilla was found guilty by a judge in a bench trial of 4 counts of murder, 4 counts of felonious assault, 2 counts of aggravated vehicular homicide, 1 count of drug possession, and 1 count of possessing criminal tools, all in connection with the July 31st, 2022 car crash that killed her boyfriend Dominic Russo and their friend Davion Flanagan. And Shirilla has insisted ever since that she had no memory whatsoever of the crash or even the time leading up to it. Even her family have constantly claimed that she had a diagnosis of POTS, a medical condition that causes dizziness, fainting. They said Shirilla must have blacked out, which is why she drove off the road. But then, at trial, there was no official medical diagnosis of POTS, no evidence of a car malfunction, and no presentation of her being severely intoxicated. After her 2023 trial, she was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole starting in 2037. But now she's back in the news because of the Netflix documentary, The Crash, where she went on camera, did an interview from behind bars, and said she's not a monster and that she loved Dominic. But could she prove that when there is evidence of her driving recklessly in the past? Not only that, there were accounts that she would get into fights while driving, and she wouldn't seem remorseful after what she did. So prosecutors made the argument that she intentionally crashed the car, especially considering there was evidence that Dominic was trying to break up with her just weeks before. That should have been the end of the case, until messages from Shirilla to Dominic where she claimed she was the victim of Dominic were discovered and made the case become so twisted. For example, there were messages from Shirilla to one of Dominic's family members in the past, where Mackenzie wrote, "Can you come get Dominic? He just grabbed my steering wheel on the highway, trying to spin out my car and hurt me. TBH, I can't calm down when he just tried to end my life. He tried to end my life today and told me, 'Do you want to die?' But these messages were nothing compared with the ones she had with Dominic, and these were from years before too. Shortly before this event took place and what these messages might tell us, there was a celebrity cell phone extraction compiled by investigators that revealed all of these text messages between the couple all the way back to January 2020. Thousands upon thousands of messages between the couple who again appeared to have this very toxic, on-again, off-again relationship. And I do want to highlight just some of the conversations that the couple had. And by the way, you should know that over 93,000 text messages were entered into evidence during her actual trial. One of the first things investigators noticed was how attached Mackenzie seemed to be to Dominic. Many of the messages revolved around spending time together, seeking reassurance, or asking for attention. "No, why aren't you saying, 'Oh, you look so good, Kenzie. Why are you being like that? Don't drag me down, hype me up.'" Now, a lot of the couple's texts during this period centered around Shirilla wanting to spend all of her free time with Dominic, and she seemingly texted him over and over about when they could hang out, when she could come to his house, and when they could go get food. But in these exchanges, Dominic wanted a little more space, and that was what led to conflict. For instance, this is from January 14th, 2020. "Let me come in, sad face." Dominic responded, "No, from now on, you just got to go home after school. Maybe another one. And probably can't come before school." Shirilla replied in all caps, "What? You can do this to me." Then corrects herself. "Can't. You can't." Dominic replied, If I asked you to go home, you would have thrown a fit anyway. Then there was a series of messages in all caps from Shirilla. You're mean. You treat me like asser, and I treat you like a bleeping god, and you do this. Dominic goes on to say that it feels like she's smothering him, to which Shirilla responded, I just want to bang my head on the wall till I'm dead. Dominic replied, to be honest, this CS has happened so many times I just don't care anymore. And despite still being in high school, Shirilla moved in with Dominic in a home that his mother owned next to her own. And during a conversation at the end of January, it seemed that Dominic and Shirilla were both at his house, although in different rooms, texting each other because Shirilla begged him to give her dabs, which by all accounts was a concentrated form of cannabis. I swear if you don't leave, I'm a flip-ass. I'm leaving. I just need dabs, babe. And the response in all caps, I don't have any. Now something this compilation of conversations reveals is just how off again, the two were over the years. They would break up constantly, then they would get back together just as quickly. And remember, both were very young, so it's understandable why emotions would be running high. And just by looking at the messages, you could clearly see that things were out of control. Remember how I mentioned the conversations where Shirilla was messaging a family member? Well, look at this conversation between the couple from March 2020, where Dominic said, I don't like dealing with all this, babe. Shirilla responded, all I ask is for like 3 things. No girls hang with me and affection. None of them are hard to do. If you can drive around all day on random slurs time, then you can find a way to see me. You do so many harder things in your life. Dom replied, I think we need some time apart. And then Shirilla went off on a rant saying, Dominic, stop right now, answer the phone. We not doing that again. We not going on a break. Text back like you're not going to do this to me. Get off, do not disturb. We are not going on a bleeping break, Dom. I do so much for you. And you say that. The very next day, Shirilla sends another long string of messages. Hey, babe, what you doing now? Dominic, answer. Dom, wow, I'm mad. Answer right now. I'm so mad. Dominic responded, low battery. Now let's jump ahead in time a little bit to summer 2021. About a year before Shirilla drove her car into the side of that brick building, killing her boyfriend and their friend Flanagan, Shirilla and Dominic were in the middle of another fight. And in these messages, Shirilla said, like, I'm seriously done. I do not want to see you. If you're done over that small inconvenience, then okay, fine, so be it. Okay, Mr. Gaslighter, I don't need you to tell me what's small or big. She continued, you can figure out your own way to the graduation party tonight. Like, I'm seriously done. Dominic responded, why are you done? Because I didn't give you free weed. And this is just to tell you that Dominic was Shirilla's connection to get marijuana. Did you know that she had cannabis in her system at the time of the crash? Worst was that she would often post videos and photos online of herself appearing to smoke weed and use bongs. There was even an allegation that she was doing it while driving. Later in that same conversation, Shirilla wrote, why would I want to go on vacation with someone that can't even give me 1 gram free weed? Now let's fast forward to January 2022, because at this point, the dynamic between Mackenzie Shirilla and Dominic seemed to have changed because Shirilla seemed very aggressive and dismissive. For example, Shirilla wrote, Dom, I would start texting right now unless you want problems because you're acting weird as F. I would start typing. Dom responded, I'm not. She wrote, like right now. Dominic responded, you're also acting heated as F. But Shirilla steamrolls ahead. I would start explaining right now. I ain't going to try to talk to you when you're mad because you're not telling me after I asked 780 times. You have 5 minutes. And there were multiple times during arguments that Shirilla said she's setting a timer on her phone to some arbitrary number. And if Dominic didn't respond or hasn't done what she wanted by the time it went off, they were done. And there were also times that Dominic brought up Shirilla's social media presence because she posted on Instagram and TikTok quite frequently, often in these seductive outfits and poses. The two had this conversation in January of 2022. Like, I just want to understand why you post like that. Like, I know you look cute, but I feel like you can still look cute without posting as provocative. Like, I for real want to understand every other dude would be coming at you aggressively as F2. For real. I'm being cool and you're being immature by just hanging up on me. Later on in the conversation, Shirilla wrote, if you can't handle the bad B, then bleep and leave. I don't care. Like, what the bleep? Don't try to make me insecure because you are. She also said at one point, you were doing so good this morning too. Like, what the bleep? There were instances where the two talk about Shirilla allegedly driving drunk. She said she was scared. I'm driving home to you. Dom said, oh, you drunk? Why are you scared? She responds in the hood, and I'm a little drunk. This was Dominic's advice. Drive patient, but get to where you need to go and you'll be fine. Don't look at no one and don't draw attention. No one is going to do anything. Pretty scary to think about a teenage driver with little experience driving while drunk and also texting, right? Let's also talk about July 2022. So by the end of the month, Dominic would be dead. Davion would be dead. Shirilla would be in the hospital, and she would have serious injuries, claiming she couldn't remember anything about the crash or what happened beforehand. Again, the insistence that she must have blacked out. So here's a long string of messages from Mackenzie Shirilla from July 2nd. Again, this is just weeks before what happened. You're a liar and will always be one. Smiley face can't keep a single promise you make. You don't take relationships seriously. You think this is some game. You're messing your life up and you're going to be real embarrassed when you see. So yes, I will be back tonight. I'm the only one keeping this relationship together. If you want any chance of this relationship working, you will start giving effort and well thought out responses fast. Dominic responded, Kenzie, I'm not arguing with you. It's a waste of life. A few minutes later, she sent him a photo, although it's kind of hard to tell what it's a picture of. Whatever it was, it made Dominic voiced his frustration that she seemed to want to end things. But surprisingly, they started talking like things were normal. And during that same conversation, just 4 weeks before Dominic's death, he wrote these chilling words. There isn't very much time on Earth. In fact, this is the message I want to focus on, the breakup communication. Kenzie, you know I love you, but I don't think we should be together at this point. There isn't very much time on Earth. You know, I'd like to think we could stop fighting, but it's a breakup fight every week. Neither of us deserve that. I don't want to fight all the time. I know you don't either. Anyone who's around anyone every day of the week is bound to fight. If we can't separate for a little, then we're only going to fight more. I don't want you to think I'm abandoning you. I wish it could work, but I don't think it's going to at this point, especially with the threats. We should just break up so we can both find happiness somewhere else. And that text was apparently followed up by another just a few hours later, asking Shirilla if she wants to try to work things out. And what was it, just 2 weeks later, there was another important incident that happened. According to witnesses, Dominic was on the phone with Shirilla when she threatened to crash the car they were in. But according to Shirilla, Dominic was the one who grabbed the steering wheel and said that he would cause a wreck. They fought over what happened in a follow-up text conversation. And it's really shocking given what we know happens just several days later. If you can't see what's broken and what needs to be fixed, then there's no point of this being a relationship. Yesterday, you almost ended my life or could have ended my life, and all your mom cared about was you not going to jail. Like, I'm literally never going to talk to your mom again unless she apologizes. But again, responding to this conversation, Dominic said, I didn't try to do anything. To which she responded, one more reply that is not trying to fix this. I'm blocking you. Give me one more bleeping reply that doesn't reply to anything and see what happens. Dominic responded, I'm just saying I didn't try to kill us. I was deaf not trying to do that. And then they go around in circles for a while with Shirilla saying, if you're incapable of fixing anything that you caused yesterday and you can't apologize, I know what you did wrong and how to prevent this ever happening again, then I'm not going to be with you. I'm not going to be with an abuser. And Dominic said, I did apologize. He reiterates, I wasn't trying to end anyone's life. You should believe that. Shirilla then said, why would I believe it when you did it? How can I believe that you're never going to do that again? I can't because I don't know your limit. Somebody who loves me would never do that. Never. I couldn't even do it if you told me to. But I guess that's different for you, Dominic later said. You can pull out a knife, say you're going to stab me. I'd stay with you. But Shirilla replied, I'm not going to keep wasting my time with somebody who thinks my life is disposable. I never thought you would ever do something like that to me. I thought you would always protect me, but we learn new things about each other every day. And Dominic responded, I would never try to kill you, LOL. Whether you believe Mackenzie intentionally crashed that car, or whether you believe she suffered a medical emergency behind the wheel, one thing is difficult to ignore. The messages recovered by investigators revealed a relationship that appeared to be unraveling long before the crash ever happened. Over 93,000 messages painted a picture of two young people trapped in a cycle of arguments, breakups, reconciliation, jealousy, frustration, and emotional exhaustion. Prosecutors believe those messages helped explain what happened on July 31st, 2022. And the defense disagreed. But years later, the same question remains. Was the collision intentional, or was it a tragic accident? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another case.